Howdy, 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 folks. It's your boy Tanks, and today we got a tank review on the Caliban. This is the newest premium tank to Wargaming's arsenal. It is a Tier 8 British heavy auto reloader. Not auto loader, auto reloader. So like the Italian tanks, alright? This is a very interesting tank. Now, before I give you guys what I feel about the tank, I'm just going to give you guys the cold, hard facts. A little overview of the tank. First off, these are the equipment I'm running for the tank. It's all focused around gun handling. Why? Because you have a derpy gun. Now, there are two selections of guns here. Both of them equally derpy. You're not getting away from the derpiness of this tank. The first gun, which I have selected right here, is a 2-shot auto reloader tank, okay? And then there's also a single fire gun variant of this gun. Now, this is the perks that I'm running. They're all, again, focused around gun handling. The only thing that I might change is maybe take off the track repair speed and put clutch braking or maybe off-road driving. Those are the two things that I would think that would help this tank. Other than that, gun handling. Alright? These are the skins. These are the armor. It does have some decent armor if you're using all your gun depression. If you're not using your gun depression, no shot, bub. You're going to get penned. Your upper plate, Swiss cheese. Your turret, Swiss cheese. Turret is definitely more bouncy than the hull is for sure. But again, you want to be using your gun depression. This thing has a beautiful 10 degrees of gun depression. So, folks, get this thing on a ridgeline and use those degrees, alright? If you are using those degrees, then you should be able to bounce quite a bit of shells, even from tier 10s. Tier 10s, you will still probably get penned sometimes, but you would be surprised on what this armor is capable of bouncing. Tier 8s really will struggle with your armor. Even if you're not using your gun depression, you will still get some lucky bounces. You're in no way, shape, or form a defender, so don't be over here thinking that you are. But if you use this thing in the right situation, which is i.e. up on a hill, using your gun depression, then you indeed will bounce quite a bit of shells pretty reliably on this thing. That's going to be enough for now. Let's hop into this gameplay where I will go into more depth of my feelings and more statistics about the tank itself. Alrighty, I'll see you guys in the battle. Alright, so we find ourselves on Thiepval Ridge. Now you're going to see this in the worst matchmaking that you could possibly get. We are bottom tier in a tier 10 game. Now the main gun that I have found that works the best for me, you guys may think differently, and that it's completely okay, but I use the auto reloader tank. That's what this tank is here for. I mean, this is its trick, okay? I mean, if you're using the regular single shotgun, then you're just like any other tank in the game with a single fire gun, except you have a huge alpha at 600 alpha. Now, some of you guys may be like, I thought this thing had 850 alpha. And you'd be wrong, and you'd be right at the same time. So there are two ammo types for this tank. The first one is Heeres. That is your 850 alpha. But guess what? Heeres has no pen in this thing. The pen that this thing has for its Heeres rounds is 181 millimeters, which is not horrible, mind you. But to put it in perspective for you, if you're looking at the same tank, if you're in this tank and you're looking at another Caliban, you probably won't be able to pen this thing's hull. Alright? So the situations of you actually using Heeres over APCR, which is your secondary ammo, which has the 600 alpha, but it has 290 pen or something like that. It has 292 pen. So in most situations, I would be saying go for the APCR. The chances of you actually penning a tank with this Heeres is slim to none, and if you're waiting 20 seconds for your shell to reload and you're only doing 300 to 200 alpha, what is the point of that when you could be doing 600? So the APCR is definitely going to be a more reliable ammo choice for you to be using. Is there a place for the Heeres? Yeah, sure there is. I just don't see you using it very often, because in order to use the Heeres, either you need to know far enough in advance that you're going to be using it, or you need to have that equipment slot taken with your reloading perk, which lets you switch between ammo types without having to go for a full reload again. But then again, you're taking away one of your equipments that takes away from your gun handling, and boy does this thing need gun handling. So that's pretty much it with the ammo types. The reload for the first shell is 32.51 seconds, and the reload for the next shell is 20 seconds. So if you can, you really need to try to not dive super deep into your clip, or else you're going to be waiting for 50 plus seconds like I just did right here. And you're sitting here for a very, 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 very long time on a reload. Now, I do go for a Heeres clip right here because I really want to shoot that waffle with this Heeres clip. He's around 800 hit points. I won't be able to kill him with an APCR clip. So I'm going to load it up here, and I'm going to start my incredibly long reload. And this is a good junction to talk about the two different types of guns in comparison to their DPM. So on paper, it says that the DPM is higher on the auto reloader. The only reason that is because it says you have a higher alpha. So since you have a higher alpha, with only 2 seconds longer on the reload, of course you're going to have better DPM. But the thing is that you are not going to be doing 850 alpha every single time you fire this gun. There's just no way. So, honestly, the best way to get the highest DPM out of this tank is to use the single fire gun with APCR. You have an 18-second something reload on the single fire gun, and you get the same characteristics as this one. You still have the Heeres with the 850, and you have the 600 APCR. So those are all the same. All their gun handling characteristics is all the same. Okay. The only thing that's different is the reloads. Now, even though the single fire gun has better DPM, there is an upside to the auto reloader, and that is you have a 1200 alpha clip potential if you dump both of your shells. 1200 damage is a lot, and it doesn't take a long time to do it. Yes, you have like a 3-point-something second inner clip, but even then, you still can dump both those shots, and you can really, really hurt even tier 10 tanks. Most tier 8 tanks you might kill in one clip. Some tier 9s, and you will really, really hurt some tier 10s that way. So that's an upside to the auto reloader, but then again, you have a super long reload. So you're choosing DPM over clip potential. So choose what you want. I've sort of found that I like using the auto reloader because that's what the tank is like. That's its party trick, you know? Now let me quickly just touch on something that is just incredibly bad about this tank, and that's its shell velocity. Now, obviously, you can't have an 850 alpha damage and think that you're just gonna, that's it. Okay, cool, I have an 850 alpha, what's the catch? Well, here's the catch. You have a 354 meters per second shell velocity time. Absolutely horrible. This is like, just to give you guys an example, the Sturm Tiger has better shell velocity than this thing does. On its Heeres, at least. And on its APCR, doesn't get much better. It goes up to 500. A whopping 500 on APCR. Sturm Tiger is just above this, okay? I mean, when I tell you guys that this ammo travels so slow, it travels slow. So this thing is no sniper. If you're sitting in the back or even mid-range, hitting a moving vehicle is going to be an absolute mission for you, okay? Let alone the aim time on this thing, which is also not good at 3.26 seconds. So all in all, what you guys didn't see in this replay is me being in the back of the map. I was always pushing the advantage, pushing forward, pushing. You want to be at the front, because if you're at the back, you're not hitting anything. My first couple games when I was first trying to figure this thing out, and I was like, oh, I'm going to try to hit this guy from 500 meters, and he's stationary, completely stationary, and then at the last second, as your shell's traveling through the air at the speed of a fucking seagull, the guy will move and you'll miss. So, I would just like to touch on one thing that I do enjoy about this tank that actually is good, and that is the engine power. The engine power allows this thing to get up to top speed really fast and stay there. So you can be getting circled by a light tank, and the engine power, you should be able to keep your gun in front of the light tank without getting completely screwed. This also means that you'll be able to be going up hills, and you'll be able to keep a decent speed going up the hill as well. So A+ in regards to engine power. Now, is this tank worth it? Again, this is completely my opinion. I've given you guys all the things that you need to know to make your own informed decision. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't be buying the highest tier package or bundle. If you're just going to get this tank, just get the tank, which is around 13,000 gold. No matter what, you're going to be buying $50 plus of gold to get this tank. Now, is this tank worth $50? In my personal opinion, absolutely not. Now, this might be a shocker to some of you because this tank was so hyped up. Oh my god, it's supposed to be so good. It's really not. It has the gun handling of a Sturm Tiger, and the reload of a Rhino before it was buffed. Its DPM is horrible. Its gun handling is horrible. Its shell velocity is horrible. Everything that this gun brings to the table is horrible. There are tanks that can put 1200 clip potential out without the derpiness of the gun, without the horrible reload, without the bad shell velocity. Tanks like the G-Store 1000, that tank has a 1200 clip potential, fires APCR that actually travels more than 1000 meters per second, reloads in the time it takes for your first shell to even get into your clip on the auto reloader, and you can dump that clip 5 times faster than you can dump 2 shots from that auto reloader as well. And also let it be known is that I have a 9 skill crew with every single gun accuracy perk that I can get. I have all the equipment on it that can make the gun handling as good as possible, and I'm still complaining about the gun handling on this thing. Let it be known that if you guys don't have a 9 skill crew with all of this stuff and all of the equipment, you're not putting equipment on this tank is so bad. My first couple games I always play the tank fresh. Nothing on it, no crew, no nada, okay? Just in case I want to simulate playing as a new player. And it is the worst thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Do you think the aim time right now is bad? Oh my god, the aiming reticle was the size of my screen, okay? It was like I was playing an artillery piece. So yeah, alright, back to the video. So, where does this tank fit in? I think it is not going to be a meta tank whatsoever. This is going to be something that has a very high skill cap, first of all. The super unis and the really good players are going to eat this tank up. Newer players, I would suggest to stay away from this tank. Okay? There's just too much going into it that makes it very difficult to play. There's tanks like the Dreadnought that are way more user-friendly, and just, if you want to derp things, go play that. Go play that. There's no use to playing this tank. Now granted, this tank has just come out, okay? I have not played a lot of games in it. I've probably only played like 10 or 15 games in it, which is nowhere near enough to really give a good idea of how the tank performs. I need a bigger pool of games, for sure. But in the little amount of games that I have played, and I have played decent games in these, like around 3,000 damage, which is a decent sum of damage for a tier 8 tank. But I had to work really hard for that 3,000 damage. I'm fighting this gun every second, every step of the way. When I'm thinking in my head, if I was in any other tank, that I wouldn't have to be dealing with this horrible gun. And I could be just doing this damage so much more easier. So, those are my thoughts. That is what I think of this tank. I honestly don't think that it's worth the money. If you guys are new to the game, and even experienced players, like, this might just be a skippable tank for you guys. Like, you are not missing much with this tank. But this rant has gone on long enough. I think I've made my point. Agree, disagree, it's all good. That's what we're here for. Go into the comments and let me know what you think of this tank. And while you're there, why don't you do me a favor, like this, and we'll rack the like and subscribe button, please. Okay, thank you. Now go hit the bell. Now go hit the bell. Hit it. Alrighty, thank you very much. Alrighty, you guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Adios, amigos.